Please save us, Caleb. We don't want to rot in here. We beg you. You're our last hope." The rain fell softly that evening, washing the dust off the city streets as Caleb stood beneath a flickering streetlight, holding a small box in his hand. Inside, it was a silver chain with her name Vanessa engraved on it. He had saved for months to buy it. She loved silver, or so she said. He checked his phone, again no reply. She was supposed to meet him here, like they always did after her evening shift. But today was different. Caleb felt it in his bones. Her messages had been dry for weeks. Her laughter, once bubbling like fresh spring water, had turned cold. Then, out of the shadows, he saw her. But she wasn't alone. Tyler and Marcus, his old school friends boys from the same block who now drove German machines and wore perfumes that cost more than Caleb's rent, were standing beside her. And Vanessa, she was laughing. The same laugh she used to save just for him. "Hey," Caleb called out. Vanessa turned, her smile fading. Tyler glanced at Caleb with a smirk. "Still waiting for buses, bro?" he said, chuckling. Caleb ignored him and looked at Vanessa. "Can we talk?" She sighed. "Caleb, not tonight, okay? I'm going with them." "To where?" he asked. "Somewhere. Better." The box in Caleb's hand grew heavier, his heart even heavier. She left without looking back. That night, Caleb stood alone in the rain, watching the car taillights disappear into the city. But karma doesn't forget addresses. Vanessa thought she had made it. The speed, the champagne, the flashing lights of rooftop clubs in Victoria Island, everything Tyler promised, he delivered. She wore designer heels, her nails were always fresh, and her Instagram sparkled with filters and false joy. But in truth, she was never free. Tyler was charming in public, but behind closed doors, he was cold, controlling. He picked her outfits, her captions, her friends. He introduced her as just one of the babes. Marcus wasn't any better. When he wasn't ogling her like a toy, he was whispering things to Tyler that made her skin crawl. One night, after a party that ended too late, Vanessa staggered into the guest room, her feet sore from the heels Tyler insisted she wear. She caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror. Mascara smeared, eyes hollow, smile gone. She scrolled through her phone. Caleb's number was still there. She hovered over it, thumb trembling, before locking the screen. "You chose this, remember?" she whispered to herself. But deep inside, guilt gnawed at her like rats in a dark alley. She had laughed at Caleb, mocked his hustle, and yet he never raised his voice, never shamed her. I only loved her. Pure, unfiltered. 2 weeks later, things got worse. Tyler had disappeared for 2 nights. When he returned, his face was bruised and angry. "We're broke," he said bluntly, throwing a bag of counterfeit perfumes on the bed. "You better start learning how to sell these." Vanessa blinked. "What do you mean we're?" Tyler's eyes turned cold. "You're eating my food, sleeping in my bed. You're part of this now." She realized then she had just traded poverty for a different kind of prison. It had been 8 months since Vanessa vanished from Caleb's life. 8 months since that rainy evening when she chose shine over substance, money over meaning. Caleb never texted her again. Instead, he buried himself in work at the mechanic shop where he fixed broken cars and slowly pieced his life back together. Every morning, the scent of engine oil filled his lungs. His hands were always coated in grease, his jeans forever stained. But his mind was sharp, focused. He studied engines like puzzles, took on extra shifts, and learned diagnostics from YouTube in the quiet hours of the night. One afternoon, as he lay beneath the Toyota Camry adjusting the suspension, Mr. Adetha garage owner approached him, wiping his own hands with a dirty cloth. "Caleb," he said, "one customer's been watching you work. Quiet man. Came twice this week. He owns a private transport company. I want someone sharp, like you." Caleb slid out from under the car, squinting at the sun. "Me?" Mr. Ade nodded. He said he's expanding. Wants someone he can trust. That night, Caleb couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, heart pounding with something he hadn't felt in a long time hope. 2 weeks later, he wore a fresh shirt and joined the transport company. Not as a driver, not as a cleaner, but as a technical lead, diagnosing vehicle issues, training new recruits. And every month, his bank balance quietly grew. He didn't post it online. He didn't flex. He just built. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, Vanessa's world was unraveling faster than her bundles. Tyler had been arrested during a sting operation. Fraud, fake imports, identity scams. Marcus vanished the same week, deleting his socials, cutting off everyone. Vanessa was left behind in a borrowed apartment, rent unpaid, accounts empty, and her name blacklisted from multiple salons for unpaid services. She tried calling old friends. They ignored her. She tried calling her mother. The line didn't go through. Then, one evening, as she stood on a pedestrian bridge trying to sell fake perfume to disinterested passers-by, a clean Toyota Highlander rolled to a stop beside the road. She didn't recognize the driver, not at first. But then he stepped out, clean shirt, tucked in, work badge clipped to his chest, and a calm in his stride that shook her more than anger ever could. It was Caleb. He didn't say anything at first, just looked at her not with spite, not with pity, but with the quiet strength of someone who healed without needing revenge. Vanessa's lips trembled. "Caleb," she whispered. He simply nodded. How are you?" "I'm good," he said, voice steady. Then he looked down at the perfume bottle she held. "Are you selling now?" She quickly hid it behind her. "It's not what it looks like." He smiled a sad, quiet smile. "I know," he said. "It never is." He handed her a card. "If you ever want to start over, properly, there's a women's center in Ajagunle. They train, pay, help. Tell them Caleb sent you." Vanessa took the card with trembling hands. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. He shrugged. "Because not everyone who falls stays fallen." Then he walked back to his car. She stood there, card in hand, watching his taillights disappear into the night the same way he once watched hers. But this time, it was different. "This time," she cried, "second chances don't come wrapped in silver." Vanessa stood frozen, the card shaking between her fingers as Caleb's Highlander disappeared into the Lagos traffic. She looked down at it again, plain white, no fancy print, just the address of the Women's Center in neat black letters, and his name scribbled on the back. "Tell them Caleb sent you." She hadn't heard her name from his lips. No venom, no bitterness, just a quiet offering like a bridge built from pain and strength. That night, she slept on the floor of a nearly empty apartment. No mattress, just a wrapper and a broken ceiling fan spinning lazily above her. But for the first time in months, her sleep wasn't haunted by parties, men, or broken promises. It was haunted by Caleb's silence. At sunrise, she washed her face in a cracked mirror, fixed her hair the best she could, and made her way to Ajagunle. The Women's Center was a modest building tucked between a food stall and a tailor's shop. Nothing glamorous, but inside, it was full of voices, laughter, hope. Women learning skills, some baking, some coding, some sewing with machines that hummed like a new beginning. A soft-spoken woman in a lilac blouse met her at the gate. "Good morning. How can I help you?" Vanessa hesitated, her fingers curled around the card like it was the last match in a dark room. Caleb sent me." The woman's smile lit up. "Ah, Caleb. Come in, please." That one name, Caleb, opened doors. Weeks passed. Vanessa learned to make natural body products, soaps, oils, scrubs. She was good at it. Her hands, once trained to hold champagne glasses, now blended essential oils with precision. The first time someone paid $500 for a jar of her body butter, she cried in the bathroom. Not because it was a lot, but because she had earned it honestly. She still hadn't seen Caleb again, but every night she wrote his name in a small notebook. Not romantically, not with hope for a second chance, just with respect and gratitude. Caleb, meanwhile, had climbed further up the ladder. The transport company made him a supervisor. He now managed teams across 3 garages and handled accounts worth millions. But still, Every time he passed a perfume stall or smelled vanilla oil on someone, a part of him went quiet. One Friday evening, as he stepped out of his office and into the setting sun, a small stall caught his eye just outside the gate. Simple wooden frame, hand-painted sign. Vanessa Naturals Skin Care with Heart. He paused. The woman at the stall was adjusting labels, chatting with a customer, completely unaware he was watching. It was Vanessa. No lashes, no filters, just clean skin, tied-back hair, and a glow that came from something no luxury club ever offered: peace. She looked up, and their eyes met. This time, she didn't flinch. She smiled, a real, quiet smile. And for the first time since that rainy night under the flickering streetlight, Caleb smiled back. The customer at Vanessa's stall left with a small paper bag, and for a moment, the street noise faded under the weight of unspoken history. Caleb took a few steps forward. "You started your own line," he said, nodding at the neatly arranged jars. Vanessa wiped her hands on a clean cloth, her smile never leaving. "Started small. Still small. But it's mine." He picked up one of the bottles and turned it over. The label was handwritten, not perfect, but warm. Honest. Like her now. "I'm proud of you," he said. Vanessa's breath caught. It was the last thing she expected, and maybe the only thing she ever really wanted to hear from him. "Thank you," she said softly. "I owe you." Caleb shook his head. "No, you did the work. You chose this." They stood there for a while, just watching the orange glow of the sunset dip behind the buildings. Then she reached into a small box and pulled out a cream-colored jar. "It's a new blend, vanilla and almond. I call it Closure." He took it, opened the lid, smiled at the scent. "Smells like peace," he said. She laughed light, unforced, the kind of laugh that didn't carry guilt. "Would you like to sit?" she asked, gesturing to a wooden stool beside the stall. Caleb hesitated, not because of bitterness, but because this quiet, grounded moment was more healing than anything revenge could offer. He sat, and for the next hour they talked, not as lovers, not as exes, but as two people who had survived different storms and found shelter in becoming better. Some second chances don't come with love stories. Some just come with respect. And for Caleb and Vanessa, that was more than enough. The air at the police station was thick with tension, the kind that wrapped around your neck and squeezed like guilt. Caleb had come to bail out his cousin, a hot-headed boy who'd gotten into a minor street altercation. Just another distraction in Caleb's now overwhelmingly busy schedule as a respected businessman. His name now rang bells in places where it once triggered laughter. As he walked through the corridor, his eyes caught sight of two ragged figures behind the rusted cell bars. His steps slowed. There they were, Tyler and Marcus. The same man who had mocked his poverty, stolen Vanessa from him when he had nothing, called him worthless. Now they looked like shadows of themselves, faces unshaven, clothes torn, pride buried in dust. "Caleb?" Marcus's voice cracked, but he pressed forward, gripping the bars as if they held the lifeline to his redemption. "Bro, it's really you?" Tyler stepped forward too, avoiding eye contact. We didn't know you'd be here. Please." He cleared his throat. "Help us. We've been here for weeks. They framed us. We don't belong here." Caleb didn't flinch. He stood rooted, arms crossed, expression unreadable. He let the silence stretch, suffocating. "You remember Vanessa?" Caleb said slowly, voice like cold steel. Both men froze. "Yeah. The girl you took from me when I was pushing tires and fixing scrap metal under the sun. The one you said deserved better." They nodded awkwardly, shame crawling down their spines. "Well," he continued, "life has a way of circling back." Marcus broke down. "Please, Caleb. We were foolish, arrogant. But you're different now. You have power. Please, don't let us rot here." Tyler added quickly, "We're sorry, man. If we could turn back time, we'd—" "You would what?" Caleb snapped, eyes blazing. "Choose another victim to humiliate?" Silence again. Caleb turned to leave. The officer beside him asked, "Do you know them, sir?" He paused at the door. Unfortunately. Yes. He took a breath. Call my lawyer. Tyler and Marcus's faces lit up in shock. But not for them, Caleb said, turning slowly. For my cousin. They wilted. But just as he was about to leave entirely, he stopped. He remembered something not about them, but about himself. The old Caleb. The boy who still believed in second chances, even for those who didn't deserve them. He turned back. Give me the full charges. Every detail. I want to know if they're truly guilty. The officer handed him the report. As Caleb read it, the weight of the decision crushed his chest. Now he had the power. To punish them. To forgive them. To walk away. What would he do? Caleb stared at them for a long moment, the silence thick with memories, painful ones. He remembered the laughter they shared, the betrayals, the heartbreak, how Vanessa chose them over him, how they paraded her around like a trophy. And now, his lawyer, Barrister Felix, had just joined him. Caleb turned to him and whispered, "Can you take on 2 more cases?" Felix raised a brow. For them? He looked at the cell. They're not on your side. Caleb nodded. I know, but I'm not like them. I won't let them rot when I can help. Just do it. 30 minutes later, Caleb signed their bail documents. Tyler and Marcus couldn't stop crying. They knelt right there on the floor, ignoring the stares from other officers and detainees. We don't deserve this kindness, Caleb, Tyler whispered. Caleb looked at them quietly. You're right, you don't. But I didn't do it for you. I did it so I won't become like the monsters you once were. Then, he turned to leave. Thank you, Caleb, Marcus shouted, still on his knees. As Caleb walked out into the sunlight, the world suddenly felt lighter. He had just saved the very people who once destroyed him, and that was the greatest revenge. Not hate, but grace. Life is full of twists. Today's nobody might just be tomorrow's savior. Caleb forgave the very friends who betrayed him and saved them when they least expected it. But what would you do if you were in Caleb's shoes? Would you walk away, or would you help? Let us know in the comments. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and follow Anna's story for more powerful stories like this. Until next time, remember, no matter how life turns, your story isn't over yet.